That's a big cup. That's a big gulp. That's a big gulp. Welcome back to Sippin With Sin, the podcast where we talk about stuff and things and stuff that are important to everybody. That's right, everybody. That it means you. If you're listening, it's important to you, and it is the number one podcast of important stuff and things like this. It's science. It's proven. You don't question it. People have done research in the labs. It's just don't question it. It's true. It's factual because everything you hear on the internet is factuals, right? That's right. All right, but welcome back to another episode. If you are here, again, we appreciate you. It's another week, another fun podcast episode. And it's time that we welcome back our esteemed colleague, the one, the only Mr. Christian, in profile picture / avatar / whatever form.
What's up, guys? It's good to be back for another episode. We got a couple things to talk about, so I guess we'll just jump right into it.
That's right. Just a couple things. Just a few things. We're trying something a little different because we've had quite a few technical issues, so we're going to see how this works as we kind of try to sort these issues out. With the video version, obviously not the audio version. Video version, keep having things cut in and out and just, I don't know. Things are weird. It could be my internet. It could be his internet. It could be the Matrix. It could be Gremlins. We don't know what it is. It's just something that just started in the last few episodes, but we, troubleshooting at its best. But what we'd like to do to start every episode, we like to talk about what we've been watching, reading, listening to, or playing this past week. I had a very light week, so I'll start because I think Christian actually has some stuff. My week consisted of something we'll be talking about in a little bit that I was very excited for. Game-wise, I have played a lot of nothing, really. I've played a little Fortnite, and I've played a little X-Defiant, and that's been about it. Yeah, I haven't really got to play a lot of stuff. But I did start a show that the reason I started is because of the people that were in it. And not going to lie, it interests me, but I also really like documentary style shows, especially like sports documentary stuff. I enjoy those. And it is a show that's on Hulu. I think it's an FX show. Yes, it's FX show. But it's also possibly on Disney Plus. I'm not sure. But that show is called Welcome to Wrexham. And it's a documentary series that follows Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney as they purchase.
Oh, yeah, I know what that is.
They purchased the football team Wrexham, which is a Wales team. And it is in the lowest. Okay, at the time of when they purchased it, it's in the lowest. So I had to learn all this because I'm going to be honest, I don't know shit about soccer / football, depending on where you're at. It's never been something I've been into. It's never something I've really watched because I just haven't really been into it. It wasn't one that gravitated towards. So a lot of the stuff, as they explain it, which they do, and it's kind of nice for the most part because I was very ignorant to it. And obviously I clicked it because I was like Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney from, if you don't know what he's from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Mythic Quest, stuff like that. So he's pretty well-known TV actor. And then, of course, Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds. Everybody pretty much knows Ryan Reynolds. But I was like, this could be interesting. So they explain apparently in the UK, like as far as like football for them, soccer for us, it would be equivalent to like, say, the NFL like Tennessee Titans. If the Titans were like a bad team, they would be deranked from the NFL down to like the next division, which we'll just say is the USFL or something, or XFL for now. And if you were bad in that one, you would be deranked down. But if you were a top team, you would get moved up. So apparently like the bigger teams like Manchester or whoever, I don't know teams. I'm sorry. I'm really stupid on this. They're in like the Premier League, like the tippity top, and that's where you make like the big money. So it'd be like the NFL or something here, right? Maybe a terrible analogy. I don't know. But this team, Wrexham, is like in the lowest tier you can be and be a professional football player, which is crazy. So they bought this team, and they're also like the oldest team, and I think it's the oldest international stadium. And it's just been interesting. It's, I think, 18 episodes. I have one episode to go. It's been really interesting watching the journey of them because they're kind of learning the game too. They've kind of fallen in love with it. The fans are extremely passionate. I will say that, like, soccer fans are crazy passionate. I don't know that I've seen, there's like college games maybe that get wild, but I don't think anything gets as wild as this. Like, it's crazy. But it's been interesting watching all that. And of course, them two being in it, it's pretty funny because Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds and he says really off-kilter stuff all the time, and I feel like he's just constantly like that. One cool thing I saw, so while we're watching it, apparently, time we're recording this a few days ago, they were promoted. So I guess they either won their league championship or whatever this year, and it showed Ryan and Rob celebrating, like being in the stands and seeing them win. So that's really cool. But they're investing money and building this thing up, and it's a pretty cool series. I've actually enjoyed it quite a bit. It's been a fun watch, and like I said, it is funny. They do weird little segments, so it's not just all sports stuff. Like, it's definitely behind the scenes, and then them two, they did like a special where they talk about whales and like they go in depth and do a bunch of weird stuff, and I don't know, it's their bromance and all kinds of things like that. So it's been entertaining. I really do recommend it. It's a good watch, and yeah, that yeah, I mean, I like it. I like it quite a bit. I've learned a little bit. Actually intrigues me. You said you've heard of it, Christian?
Yeah, I know exactly what that is. I saw a lot of the ads that lead up to it before the show actually launched. I saw Ryan Reynolds talking about it online and on socials, and Rob Micklehoney, because I follow both of them on socials for separate reasons.
I think
And
it's hilarious. Like, the fans, like when they talk to the different Welsh fans, they'll be like, "We got that Deadpool money." Like, they'll say weird stuff like that, and then like if Ryan is there, they'll cheer these crazy chants for like Ryan, and it's like, what in the world? Like, it's pretty funny because dude, they're crazy about stuff over there like that. Like, they get rowdy. Like, it's wild.
yeah, I definitely heard about it, but I mean that's a good show to be watching. So
Yeah,
that's
I've
cool,
enjoyed
man.
it. It's been fun.
Is that all that you've been watching lately?
That's about it that I can think of for this week. It's been a low volume week for me. Nothing too crazy. Been
Nice.
working a lot of editing and working on stuff behind the scenes has dictated and took a lot of my time. So
Understandable.
But what about you? What have you been into this last week?
Man, this week I did find the time to watch a movie. And the reason why I watched this movie for two reasons. One, there is a show that is brand new that just came out on Amazon. For all of you guys who watch movies and shows on Amazon, it's an Amazon original show. It is called Dead Ringers. The reason why I watched Dead Ringers is because I saw that it has Rachel Weisz in it, and I love Rachel Weisz. For those of you who don't know her name, if you've seen the old school Brendan Fraser Mummy movies, she played his wife, Evie, and I just love that actress. So I saw that she was in a new show, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna watch this. And then before I watched it, I saw that it was based off of a David Cronenberg movie, and I love Cronenberg and hadn't seen this movie. So I found that movie on, I think, HBO Max, soon to just be Max at the time of this recording. And I watched that film and I enjoyed it. It was definitely weird. It definitely had a little bit of body horror in it. It definitely felt Cronenberg esque for sure. But the movie is about two twins that are doctors, and their names are Elliot and Beverly, both male characters with feminine names. They call each other Bev and Ellie, and just nice play on words. I thought that was really cool. And anyway, these twins are doctors, and they work on uh, they're kind of like gynecologists, but they're like super advanced gynecologists. They work on improving the birthing for women. They work on improving the best they can vaginas and birth canals and how that could do. And they have very experimental science. Anyway, following them, Elliot. They are identical twins, by the way. In the movie, they're played by uh, 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 I can't think of his name right now, but he plays Scar in the Lion. Jeremy Irons is Jeremy Irons.
He's also
So
Alfred.
he's also Alfred in the Zack Snyder Batman renditions. So anyway, Jeremy Irons plays these two characters. Beverly is, soft spoken, very shy, but he's extremely brilliant and smart. He does his job very well. He takes it very seriously. He's always working, always studying, always coming up with new ways to improve the work that they do. And Elliot is also brilliant in his own way. And they're, like I said, they're both doctors. They're both smart. But Elliot is the one who's the mouthpiece. He speaks. He's very sly with what he says. He's very into women, if you will. And what they do, they kind of switch out on each other. So when they're seeing patients, if one of them is better at something than the other, then they switch out, and nobody really knows that they're switching out. Um, a lot of the times, Elliot will be interested in a woman and then switch out and essentially give that woman, for lack of a better word, to Beverly, so that he can also experience the love and touch of a woman. It's very strange in that aspect. And this movie came out, and I want to say '88. So it's definitely an '80s, and it's '80s as shit when you watch the movie. But anyway, I really, really like the film, and the new show, Ringers, follows Rachel Weisz, who plays both of the twins. This time around, they are both female characters. And I've watched the first episode of the show. The identical twins, Elliot and Beverly, are gynecologists for sure, who jointly operate a highly successful clinic in Toronto, I believe it is. But in this movie, they focus on fertility issues, and one of the twins, Beverly, the more soft-spoken one, has had several miscarriages. She is trying to conceive; it is not working, and she's being reassured by her twins. Sorry, by her twin that they will figure out this problem. And Elliot is more confident and cynical. She seduces women that come to the Mantle Clinic. Their last name is Mantle, and fuckery ensues. In both stories, Beverly falls in love immediately with an actress that comes into the clinic that they know and like. And essentially, what happens is Elliot or Ellie starts off the conversation with this actress, goes on a date, and then starts up the romance, and then switches out to give them to Beverly. Beverly ends up falling in love with this person, and then that kind of pisses off Elliot. Elliot gets super jealous and very possessive of the twin, and so many things happen as a result of this. But what I can say is this: just watching the first episode, Rachel Weisz's performance as both of these twins is fucking brilliant, disturbing, and it's beautiful. I love it. The show won't be forever because, like I said, this the show, aside from the movie, the show focuses way more on fertility issues and birthing scenes, like women actually having babies. It focuses a lot on miscarriages and how that affects women, women's bodies, and how they are treated in the workplace and just in general by men and other women. So if you're not into that type of thing, you won't really like the show. But if you have an open mind, if you just like good fucking acting, then I highly recommend that you try Dead Ringers. Like I said, the show is brand new. It came out this year. It's on Amazon. I watched the first episode. I can't wait to get into the rest of the episodes to see where it goes. And the movie, for those of you who want to see a male-led version of the story, you could definitely watch the movie from '88. It's on HBO Max. Definitely give it a shot. It came out in 1988. Excuse me. Came out in '88. I really, really enjoy it. And the show is so new. I think at the time of this recording, it's only about a week old. It came out April 21st of this year, 2023. So I'm not even sure if all the episodes are available right now. But like I said, I watched episode one. I can't wait to get into episode two. I really like the show. The title sequence, the in the opening titles for the show, the song is "Sweet Dreams," which is one of my favorite songs. "Sweet dreams are made of this. Who am I to this?" You guys know the song. I love that song, and it makes so much sense once you start getting into the show itself. I think right now on IMDb, it's got like a 6.4 or a 7 out of 10. Just watching the first episode, I would definitely give it a solid 7.5, 8. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it has an 83%, which makes more sense for the show itself. But definitely give Dead Ringers a shot if you haven't. It's a psychological thriller. I think it's labeled on Amazon as a horror, but it's definitely more psychological thriller than horror. It has horrific elements into it. But yeah, man, that's what I've been watching. I really, really like it. I like the Cronenberg, so if you like Cronenberg, you're gonna like the movie. It's fantastic. The acting is good on both accounts, so definitely give that one a shot if you haven't already. That's what I've been watching. Now, as far as what I've been playing this week, I did get a chance to play something aside from Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 needed a break. I've been playing the shit out of it. I'm sure the disc, if it could be scratched up, it would absolutely be scratched up by this point because I've been playing the hell out of it. But thanks to my wonderful fiance, I was able to procure a game that I've been wanting, which is the Mega Man Battle Network Collection. I have that on Switch, and I've been playing the hell out of it for the last few days. And damn, it just brings back all the old feels. It brings back all the old memories. It has all of the Mega Man Battle Networks on it. If you want to buy it all together, you can get it all together at one price. It has all the games in it. Or you can buy Volume 1 to Volume 2. Volume 1, I think, has the first 3 to 4 games, and Volume 2 has all the rest. It's cheaper if you buy them separately. So if you have favorites, like you feel like the last few more, you can just buy that. It's a little cheaper on you. I did get the entire collection. I intend to play through all of them. I don't really intend on skipping around, but I might because the first one is very slow to start, and I'm playing through that right now. I might go to the second one. Who knows? But I'm really, really enjoying Mega Man Battle Network. The graphics are a little updated, but I mean, it still looks like a Game Boy Advance game for sure. The colors are just brighter. The screen is brighter. So if that's a problem for you, if you like stuff that looks brand new, it might not be what you want to see. But that said, I'm really enjoying this game. I can't wait to get more into it. But a lot of IRL stuff is happening, so I don't have as much time to play as I would like. And aside from that and doing general artwork, that's what I've been doing this week. So aside from that, I only have one more bit of news to get into. But Sin, I will give you a chance to say something there, so I can take a breath if you don't mind.
So there was some news about something getting a release date. I know we're going to discuss a trailer here momentarily. I believe you were about to segue possibly into that. But we did get a latest installment of a trailer. But before we do that, one thing I wanted to touch on. The Witcher Season 3 has announced its release date, and it will be released in 2 parts on Netflix, with the first 5 episodes premiering on June 29th and the final 3 episodes on July 27th. And this is the final season with Henry Cavill and... yeah, I don't know. I wish they would fix that now that he's not doing Superman and continue him, but I have a feeling, I have a feeling it's gonna ratings and stuff are gonna go down pretty hard after. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in season 3. We'll see how it goes. I'm definitely gonna watch it. I'm excited for it, but I'm not excited for him leaving as The Witcher.
I mean, I agree with you on that 100%. I do think the ratings are going to plummet this season. I will say, even if the ratings go down the way that we believe they're going to go down, I think that people are going to watch the shit out of this because it's going to be his last outing as the character. I do think that if they wanted to, they could get Henry Cavill back, but he doesn't want to come back. I mean, I don't think he wants to come back because he doesn't like the changes to the story. He also wants to start doing something new.
He's doing Warhammer
all of the
also,
news,
too. He's like doing a Warhammer movie or something.
Yeah, he's definitely doing. I think it's a Warhammer series that he's going to be
series,
in.
Okay.
And it could be a movie. I might be wrong.
I don't know. I just
definitely...
know I don't really know a lot about the Warhammer stuff franchise, so I saw that he was signing on to do it. So
yeah, I mean, like I said, it makes a whole lot of sense.
Who's the guy that's replacing him? It's a Hemsworth. It's like the younger brother or something.
Liam. I think it's Liam Hemsworth.
I feel bad for him. He's kind of inheriting just a shit show. Like, no matter what happens, he's gonna probably get negative flack from this.
Listen, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Once this last season with Henry Cavill's over, I'm gonna be done with the show.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think next season's ratings really plummet. Like, once they move on from him, I think it's essentially, I don't know. I think it's gonna be really bad.
I mean, yeah, I think that when you get situations like this where you've been following a character for years at this point, and then he abruptly changes. I mean, I don't know how abrupt it's going to be. I'm sure they're going to figure out a way to work it into the story where he looks different for whatever the reason. Geralt probably gets in some kind of explosion or something, or some weird magic situation that alters how he looks, and he'll look like Hemsworth, which, whatever. But once the season's over, I don't really plan on watching it too much because the reason why I watched this Witcher series to begin with is for 2 reasons. One, I love the games, and because of the games, I've read the first 2 books. I didn't read the whole series because it's a lot, but I did read the first 2 books, and I really enjoyed them. Like, there were things about them I didn't like, of course, but I liked them overall a lot. And then because Henry Cavill is an actor that I really like and respect, also he's a fucking nerd too, which adds to his love for playing the character. That's why I watched the series. But to see him depart from the series for whatever the reasons are, it's just not something that I want to continue on. And no disrespect to Hemsworth, man. Like Liam, like do a good job. I hope that the ratings don't plummet too bad for you. I hope that all of this works out for you if you hear this for some reason. But with that said, you're not the reason why I'm watching the show. Henry Cavill's the reason why I'm watching the show. So that's kind of how it goes. With that said, though, like I said, Henry Cavill is a nerd. He likes to do really geeky stuff when he can, and his career has kind of pivoted to the point to where he can, start doing things like that, and that's great. So I want to watch those things. I want to follow those things when I can. That's awesome to see. With that said, as well, um, I'm gonna watch the season of The Witcher. I hope that I enjoy it. I hope that they do something cool. I hope that they give me a reason to keep coming back, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But aside from that, to kind of segue into the next thing, we did get a new trailer for Flash, and I have some thoughts.
Okay.
Sin, I wanted to ask you first if you had seen the trailer and what your general thoughts were about it.
I have watched it. At least I think it's a new trailer. It's one I hadn't seen yet that I just started seeing like in the last couple days.
It just came out yesterday.
Okay, so yeah, it probably is the new one. Does the new trailer involve Barry's parents and more Keaton?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right, so I have seen the new one. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to explain it this way. My levels for the excitement for the Flash have been, I mean, I want to see it, but I'm not like overly excited like I was for like the Batman or something, like I'm not like super, super pumped. To the trailer comes out and I'm like, okay, damn, that looks pretty cool. Like, you have my attention. To the next trailer comes out, I'm like, damn, that looks even cooler. To the last trailer comes out, I'm like, all right, this is definitely a must watch for me. Like, this just has too much nostalgia, too much going on with like different characters and everything. And I actually like Ezra Miller as the Flash. I do enjoy them playing the character. I know there's a whole shit show of issues and it sucks and I don't know what the future holds, but I have enjoyed what they have done with the Flash thus far to the movie. I hear really good things about it. You have said really good things about people that have screened it, what they've thought about it. Everything I see, it looks insane. The visuals look crazy. Michael Keaton as Batman just excites me because that was my Batman forever growing up. That was the only thing I really knew as Batman, as a child, was Michael Keaton stuff, and it's something that I held dear to my heart. So that pumps me up. Affleck being back is really cool. I'm still holding on, although I really don't think it's going to happen. Like, I think it's a very slim chance that Bale will be in there to bring in that universe. I don't think it's going to happen, obviously, but I can hold on to the slim hope of them pulling some Spider-Man shit and be like, oh, here's Christian Bale. Here's another Dark Knight. I really don't think it'll happen, but I don't know. My level of excitement as I see more stuff on it is growing tremendously. So I'm pretty stoked for it. And this is someone that I have not watched the Flash shows. I know a little bit about the Flash, but I don't know nowhere near as much as Christian. I think I've read like maybe one or two, what are they called? Like the volumes.
You mean the graphic novels on the omnibuses?
Yeah, stuff like that. I've read some of that Flash wise, but I haven't like really dove in on like series or anything. I think it was New 52. What do I have?
Yeah, what you meant, I believe, Sin. I think you were talking about the trades, is what we call those.
Trades, yes, thank you. I couldn't think of the terminology. I always mess that up. I think it's New 52 that I got. I can't remember. I ordered a bunch at one point that you recommended. I think it was that. But I mean, as far as that, like that's pretty much my knowledge of the Flash. But my excitement level is growing. And I'm very curious to see how this movie turns out.
Yeah, The Flash, as far as the comics goes, it's hard to get people into The Flash because there are more than one Flashes, if you will. And a lot of people that are, our age and younger grew up reading not Barry Allen, but Wally West. Wally West was the second person to take the mantle as the Flash. Before he was the Flash, he was Kid Flash. And it makes a lot of sense to a lot of people. To, they want to see that character. I totally understand. I totally get it. I'm a huge fan of most of the Flash family in general. I like a lot of the rogues characters for the Flash, the villains. Um, Getting into the trailer, to kind of go back into what we were talking about. Getting into the trailer, I really like this trailer. I didn't care about the music for the trailer too much. But I mean, who cares? It's just the music that's behind the trailer itself. The trailer in general, though, gave me a good understanding of what's going to be happening in this film. It did push Keaton a lot in it, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I understand why they're pushing Keaton so much because his nostalgia. That's what they want people to do. He's going to put the asses in seats. I totally understand that. But that said, I think I can tell you right now what I'm going to think about the film when it comes out in June. I think that I'm really going to enjoy the first half of the movie, and I think that once you get to the latter half of the movie, when you get to the third act, I think that's probably when a lot of the complaints will start popping up because I do know who the like secret villain, if you will, of the movie is, um, and it's weird. It kind of makes sense, especially for movie terminology. However, that doesn't mean that it's going to be great. That doesn't mean that it's going to be something that I really want to see. Um, but I don't think that it's going to kill the movie. Like when you watch something like Batman v Superman, for all the people who don't completely hate that film for what it is, you watch a movie like that and you get to the end of it, and then you see the whole Doomsday thing. That's a part of the movie that can make or break you. If you see the Doomsday stuff just kind of happens and they fight him and then they end him by the end of the movie and then they move on to the next thing. That's a weird thing to see, especially if you're not a fan of the comics and you don't know who these characters are. And
So
even if you are a fan,
your
it's weird.
theory on who the secret villain is, I feel like I know who it is. Were they shown in this trailer?
Actually, yes.
Okay, I
And
thought so. Are they jumping into an airplane? True or false?
are they jumping? No, 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 no. You're talking about the character that like jumps onto the Batwing and like knocks Batman out of the thing.
It
What
looks
you're
like
talking
Darkseid to me.
about? No,
Legit,
that
like, and I
character.
saw a Darkseid logo or something like the fuck, what is the name of that? His, you know what I'm talking about? His like,
The,
not
the
insignia.
Omega
What am I trying to
symbol.
say?
Thinking of the Omega symbol.
Yes, I saw that on the ground, and then it was a character that reminded me of Darkseid jumping in. I was like, damn, Darkseid's in this, which makes sense in the
Have
whole
you seen
Snyder thing that they were doing, I guess.
Have you seen the Man of Steel movie from 2013?
Yeah.
I believe that character is the third Kryptonian that came with Zod. You had Zod, Feora, and then that other big Kryptonian that we didn't see his face because he
Mm.
was wearing that mask. That's who that is. And like I said, it makes total sense why you thought it was somebody else. So I get that.
So you're
But
saying you don't think the secret villain's Darkseid?
no, I don't think the secret villain is Darkseid, and I don't think that the secret villain is Reverse Flash. For all of those who are listening, to be honest, now I'm thinking about it, the villain's not so secret. Like the toys for this have already come out. They've been out for a little while. So
Who
if
is
you
it?
looked at any of the merch for this, so spoilers for anybody who doesn't want to know this, just skip ahead like 2 minutes. But the villain of this movie, the secret villain, is going to be what they're calling Dark Flash, and it's going to be a version of Barry that is corrupted by, I'm assuming, the Speed Force and events that happen that Barry's trying to change,
Is he
and
one of the?
another
Is he
version of
the other
Barry.
Barry that shows up when they're running? When it's like, was it? Is it Supergirl or I don't know? There was somebody else, but there's two Barrys, and one's wearing like an armor suit, and the
Yeah.
other's wearing like normal.
Yes. So in the trailers, like this isn't really a spoiler, but in the trailers we see that Barry goes in the past
Mm-hmm.
to change events. He goes back to the wrong era essentially, and he sees his himself, a younger version of himself, is 10 years before where he's supposed to be now. So that takes him back to 2013 because the year is 2023. So he goes back to 2013, which is the Man of Steel era of the DC movies. So he goes back to the time where Zod invades and shows up, right? So that's what happens. And after that, he meets himself, And I believe what's happening is he either has to give himself Speed Force abilities again, like our current Barry Speed Force abilities, or he has to give the younger Barry Speed Force abilities. Now, if you were watching the trailer, there's a scene where you see Barry in a chair getting zapped by lightning.
Yes.
I believe that is him giving himself powers. He's trying to get electrocuted so he can get the Speed Force abilities again. And you see the lightning is blue. Like, notice that the lightning is blue. Okay? So, later on in the trailer, you see that there's two flashes. One has yellow lightning and the other one has blue lightning. So, that shows you something else too. Typically, what happens is if you have blue lightning, that means you're a little bit faster than people who move with the yellow lightning. And the blue lightning is a more uncontrollable version of the Speed Force, essentially. They're probably only doing it for the movie to help you differentiate who's who, so you know which Barry is which. But the Barry that you see in the armored suit, that's actually a Batman suit from from the Batman Returns movie. It's that bat suit, but he's repainted it and cut the ears off, the horns on the top of Batman's head. He's cut those off, and he's painted the suit kind of a really dark, dark, dark red over that black. And the bat symbol is still on the chest, but he put a Flash logo on top of it with spray paint. So if you go back and watch that trailer, you will see that he has those broken horns on the top of his head, and he also is just the bat suit, but painted over. That's why he looks so fucking goofy, because it's not the Flash suit; it's a Batman suit.
Hmm.
So you have that, but that Barry or potentially another Barry from a different timeline, excuse me, is corrupted, and I believe the Kryptonian ship that brought that either brought Superman or Supergirl or the Kryptonians in general blows up, and it kind of fuses with Barry's body, and that becomes the new suit that we see for this Dark Flash character. And that's in the movie, and I think that's the part of the movie that will annoy people. But aside from that, I think it's going to be pretty fucking cool to see.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
a
excited for it. The
multiverse
trailer.
movie.
Like I said, it's amplified my excitement pretty much
Yeah, I
every
mean,
trailer we get.
I've been excited for the movie because the Flash is one of my favorite DC characters. Regardless of who's playing him, I just want that character to see the light of day when it comes to cinema. I want him to to get some respect that he deserves. But because of all the drama that surrounds these movies, because of all the BS that comes out as well, and how DC tends to do their movies and how involved they get and then not get, I feel like the movie is doomed to be bogged down by negative reviews and then all the garbage that goes in between, that kind of thing. Um, I will say this though, the reviews for the Flash movie, the early reviews have been pretty fucking positive. They've been very positive, actually. The bad thing is there are people who come out and tell you what they think, and they've said practically the same thing I've said. The first half of the movie is great. The last half, it kind of goes crazy. Ezra Miller does a really good job at playing both versions of Barry. It's very emotional. It's funny when it needs to be, but it gets really dark towards the end of the movie. So I'm assuming that it'll be a mixed bag for a lot of people, and then there will be a lot of other people who really enjoy the movie. So, like I said, I'm really excited. I really enjoyed this trailer. I really enjoyed the first trailer. And if you have time, guys listening, watching, do yourself a favor and watch, if you don't mind a little bit of spoilage, watch the international version of the trailer. It's a completely different tone. Completely different tone. It shows you some new scenes that we haven't seen yet. And it really gives you more of an insight as to what the first half of the movie is going to be like before shit starts hitting the fan. So definitely watch that if you don't mind seeing a couple of things early. But with that said, moving on, um, I'm really excited. Like, you can see, okay, there's a part in the trailer that you can see the second Barry kind of becoming the Dark Flash, and it's a blink and you miss a scene. But you remember the scene in the trailer where he's like, "No, nobody dies." Like that scene.
Yeah.
There's shit like flying and sticking onto his body that looks like it's from an explosion, and I think that it's from the Kryptonian ship that's fusing with his body. And if you guys remember, um, the Justice, not Justice League, I'm sorry, but the yeah, actually the Justice League film and the Batman v Superman movie, like Lex Luthor creates Doomsday because of the Kryptonian ship, and then they bring back Superman because of the Kryptonian ship. So it has all these properties in it that do crazy fucking things that don't make any goddamn sense because of comics. But that ship is going to be the reason why we get this villain in the movie for sure.
Are we
I'm
one and
calling
done
it
with
right now.
Supergirl after this? Since this
I
is
believe
like,
that we are one and done for Supergirl, but I've heard nothing but good things about this version of Supergirl. So I really hope that we
because
get
it
to
kind of
see this
sucks they're
character
introducing
continue.
a new character in essentially the end of like this run. Like, oh hey, here's Supergirl. Sorry, this is it. Like, we're done.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
It's kind of shitty.
I don't want to talk about the trailer for too much longer, but I can say that the reviews are mostly positive. There are a few reviews that seem negative, but still have a lot of
That comes
positive notes
out
in them for the
less than a
people who have
month,
seen it.
right? Comes out in May.
No, it comes out. I'm pretty sure it's
Oh, is it
June.
June?
Yeah, it's June, like mid June, like the 16th. I want to say June 16th.
Okay.
I'll actually look that up real quick, just to make sure, so
I
that I'm not.
I knew it
lying
was
to
like in the
anybody.
next couple months. I just couldn't remember when. All my stuff's running together.
Yeah, it's June 16th. That is the date. So yeah,
Okay.
that's when it's coming out. It's the final date for the movie. They're not moving it anymore. So I'm excited to see that. I'll tell you what I want to do. I'm super excited to listen to the damn soundtrack for this because I love movie soundtracks and I really like superhero movie soundtracks to see what's done with them. So I'm really excited to hear what happens because I believe Benjamin Wallfish does, or Wallfish, excuse me, does the soundtrack for this, and he works with Andy Muschietti all the fucking time. It's kind of like how Tim Burton always works with Danny Elfman. It's
Yeah.
that kind of teamwork. So I'm excited to see what happens with the soundtrack. And I really like Benjamin Wallfish as a composer. Anyway, he did It Chapter 1 and 2. He did A Cure for Wellness. He did the Blade Runner 2049 movie. He did the Mortal Kombat movie that came out. I didn't really listen to that one. I know he did like Annabelle Creation, which was the only good Annabelle movie in my opinion. But those are just the ones off the top of my head that I know he did. He did another one that I really liked too, and I can't remember what film that was. He did do Shazam, the original one, the one that came out in 2019. If that helps anybody. But yeah, this guy's done some work, so I want to see what he does with this, and I'm excited to see how that transitions because I remember the Flash kind of theme that we got in the Justice League movie by Junkie XL was fucking dope. So I don't know how you're gonna top that, but I'd love to see somebody attempt it. So yeah, man. Anyways, that's what I've been watching, doing, and I really like that trailer. I had a couple things to say about it. That's pretty much all I have to say about it without going on too long. And I'm excited for June, man. I want to see this movie. I'm gonna be there day one. I hope it's good, and I'll definitely be talking about it here again on the pod for sure.
All right. Well, that's going to take us now that Christian has took up the whole podcast with the Flash. Everybody thank him. Give him a round of applause. No,
Thank you,
okay.
man.
So meat and potatoes time. It's time for pretty much the main thing we want to talk about, other than the Flash, for this podcast, and that would be something that come out last month, I believe. Right?
The last month?
Yeah, I think it was last month. But
Damn.
So I think pretty much it's like I think it's a 45-day clause, isn't it? Like it's in theaters for 45 days, and then they can let them start streaming. Because I think they did that with
I guess
Batman.
you're right. Yeah. It came out on the 10th. That's right.
Yeah.
March
And
10th.
the movie we're talking about is the latest installment of Scream. Scream 6, a movie that has in the box office, as of recording this, it says it is made $168.6 million. It has a 7 out of 10 on IMDb, a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 61% on Metacritic. Scream 6, the latest installment. So, Christian hyped this up. He watched it, I think the weekend it come out, actually, didn't you?
I did. I saw it day one.
Okay, so Christian hyped this up quite a bit. And so I was pretty excited. And not only did Christian hype it up, but a buddy of mine went and saw it first weekend or weekend after or something like that and was like, it's pretty good. I like it. The one thing I had going into my head going into this viewing is Christian saying this is the most like vicious Ghostface we've ever seen, which to me automatically is like, I'm intrigued. Like that interests me. I think Christian's going to run through it. and we're going to discuss it. I do have some notes and some things I kind of jotted down while watching it. And I don't want to really jump around because they're kind of going along with the movie, so I don't want to like jump to pieces. So I guess I'll just kind of fill them in as Christian's talking about it. But it is on Paramount Plus if you have it. I'm not really sure where else it's on right now. It's distributed by Paramount Pictures, so it's only right that I guess they get the rights 45 days after it is in theaters. But I plan on rewatching it, actually. And before I rewatch it, I'm kind of thinking about watching the previous installment, Scream from 2022, which is technically Scream 5, but I think it's just called Scream. Just because I was a little fuzzy, and as I was seeing characters, I was like, oh yeah, this happened to that character in the last movie. This happened to this character. This character is essentially this person. Like, I was kind of refreshing myself seeing the characters. Like Chad and Mindy? No. Yes. Is that her name?
That's right.
When I saw him, I was like, wait, he got stabbed a lot, but he survived. That's right. He got stabbed like outside in like the bushes or something in the previous one. If you haven't watched the previous one, I'm sorry. It's been out over a year. I'm sorry. I'm not going to not say stuff. But yeah. Christian, do you just want to dive into it and kind of give our thoughts, or how do you want to address this?
Yeah, man. I'll be honest. I haven't watched it since I saw it in theaters. So if I skip around, it's unintentional. But we start the movie off with a phone call, but it's a little different in this one. We get a character who is going on a date with somebody that she's met online. She hasn't seen,
and it's the Ready or Not chick, Samara Weaving.
Yeah. I was gonna get into that, but it is Samara. I knew that she was gonna be the first kill of the movie going in because they announced her being in the movie like a week before the movie came out.
I think if you've watched the Scream, if you see like a fairly well known person at the beginning of a Scream movie, it's a pretty safe bet they're about to die.
That's true.
So as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh yeah, she's Drew Barrymore in this. She's about to get got like immediately. This is how we're starting off.
I will say, I'm going to tell you guys some things I liked and disliked about the movie. Obviously, you guys know I really enjoyed this film. I gave it a very positive 7 out of 10. I gave it an 8, and then after more review, I think I gave it a 7, 7.5. But right, I say 7. I think this movie is good. It's definitely worth a watch. It's definitely worth a rewatch. I'm glad I saw it in theaters. With that said, though, the movie takes place a year after Scream 5. I'm just going to call it Scream 5 to make things easy. And then this one, Scream 6, or Sixum, as some of the guys are saying out there. It's a year after the last movie. The main characters have moved to New York. We see the character that we're following now is going on a date with somebody she's met online. This person turns out to be our new Ghostface. And I will say right off the bat, Ghostface says a couple of things that I liked in this, like now I see red when he actually kills her. He gets her into an alley, and she happens to be a professor of horror media at a college.
So I have an issue with that right away. Where the hell was that class whenever I did college or anything? How come I never had history, like slasher history? Because I would have signed up for that like day one. Like, how do I just keep taking this class?
It's like that in the movies, right? Like, people talk about horror in this way and do all this shit in this way, but like you never ever see that kind of shit.
Dude, that'd be such a dope class. God, that'd be so freaking awesome.
I mean, yeah, certain schools do have this kind of stuff, but like on average, if you're just going to college, you're trying to get your degree, you don't really see that a lot unless your degree is in film. Yeah. You don't really see a lot of that stuff, and I know how that goes. But anyway, the professor in the movie, I think her name is Laura Crane. She gets catfished by Jason, who is it's funny that it's Jason and he's watching Jason.
He's watching
Jason Goes to Manhattan.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, which is hilarious. And he has a roommate who I believe is his partner, not just his killing partner, but his
they're romantically. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're like romantically linked. That's how I took it, just from their conversation.
I see a lot of people. There's a lot of people that say that no, they're just roommates, they're just friends. I was like, I don't know, man. No,
I feel like they're a little more.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Those dudes were together. And there's nothing wrong with it. Just like fucking tell it like it is, man. Anyway, Jason kills the shit out of Laura in the alley and then
Reveals itself,
takes
which is
his mask
weird.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest, man. I was like, oh shit, I'm fucking in. This part gripped me. I was like, oh shit, this is different. We're gonna follow the killer the whole time, know who
I remember
it is, and
Mrs.
the
Sin,
main
she was
characters don't
like,
know.
that can't really be the killer. They just revealed it, and I was like, I mean, it can be. Like, there's no real, like, set rule. Scream likes to throw curveballs, maybe. But that's weird.
Yeah.
Like, first, 10 minutes, maybe? Maybe not even that. First 5 minutes, he's revealed.
Yeah. And that, like I said, man, I was in it. I was fucking in. I was like, oh yeah, let's do this shit. Let's do this shit. I'm ready to go. So we see that happen, and I was just like, okay, I don't know how. And we see him passing our main characters, like they're walking to a party, and he's talking to what's her name,
Tara.
Jenna Ortega's character, Tara, and Sam. He or not Sam, but he runs into Tara and friends, you know. And I thought that was awesome. I was so into it. And then he goes home and he gets a phone call from a Ghostface, which is his partner, and then fuckery ensues. And we know as viewers that this is clearly not his partner. There's no way he'd be getting asked these questions. But I do like the way that he described what it was like killing Laura. Like he talks about how she wasn't a person and all this shit. Just really getting deep and crazy into what it was like murdering somebody and what it felt like and what he thought about. She was just meat. Like that shit is crazy.
He's
So
also kind of
I got
stupid.
really into it.
Why would you say that on the phone?
I mean, let's be honest, man. Like none of the characters in any of the movies that we talk about on this podcast, slashers in general, none of them do smart things unless they're
Because that's incriminating evidence.
Girl,
they can pull your phone records. Come on now. The whole time he's doing it, I was like, are you that dumb? Like you're that, I guess you are that naive of a killer, but.
And we find out that the whole reason why, you know, they were killing people in general and coming after Sam and Tara was because finish Richie's movie from Scream 5. And during that time, the Ghostface, he's like, but what about my movie before he gets killed? And he's like, who gives a fuck about the movies? And then kills him. Dude. And that's the title card. So, I was like, yes! Yeah, I was so hyped. I was jumping in my fucking seat. Dude.
That was a
so
brutal, fantastic way to start the movie, I thought. I really liked how brutal it was and how vicious Ghostface was. Like you said, who gives a fuck about the movie? That was really cool. There's 2 Easter egg things in... what'd you say his name was? Jason?
Yes.
His apartment that I really liked. Horror fans probably noticed one of them. Last Podcast on the Left, which is a very popular horror podcast. There's a poster of that on the wall that I thought was really cool. And the other thing, a lot of people probably didn't catch or really notice. On the refrigerator, there is a sticker for the band Ice Nine Kills. And if you don't know who Ice Nine Kills is, it is essentially a metal band that their niche is horror-related content. Like they talk about like Jason and Michael and like The Exorcist and Candyman and Cabin Fever and just all kinds of stuff. Like they're very rooted in the horror community, especially the vocalists. They go around making appearances and doing stuff. So I thought it was a really cool thing that they had a sticker on the fridge. That was a nice little touch.
Let's see. I already talked about how Sam and Tara now live in New York City. They go to Blakemore University, which is and got the core 4, Chad and Mindy.
So
Sam
I have
and
a question for you, since you like soundtracks.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
So Scream 6 is very different than Halloween movies. The recent Halloween movies, I should say. Like John Carpenter inspired Halloween movies. There we go. Let me do that. Like the ones he's actively on. The reason I say that, I noticed right away that it was more of a modern soundtrack, if you will. More of like noticeable songs, you know, maybe like radio songs, whatever, in it, right? Do you like that approach more than a Halloween where it's more of suspenseful, created for the moment soundtrack like Halloween does? You know, where like the original Halloween, or even I don't know that Ends or or 2018 had an actual song on the soundtrack. I think it was all stuff that I think John Carpenter and his son made.
Well, yeah. So here's the thing. With a lot of movies, you'll have a soundtrack for songs that are either in the film or inspired by the film. You'll have that, but then you have the score soundtrack. So Halloween, that's always going to be made famous by the score, thanks to John Carpenter and Alan. I forget his last name. I'm so sorry right now, but John and Alan. You get those soundtracks, and then of course you get his son Cody and whatnot. But with Scream, there are a lot of more popular songs in these soundtracks,
And
I
Halloween's
am
done
not
it.
a
There's been
fan.
Halloweens where there's music in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Resurrection, I think, had a bunch of stuff. Or maybe it was H2, or it might have been H2O and Resurrection. Jason's done it. I think there's been stuff in Jason movies. So I mean, it's not. It's not just
it's an
Scream.
easy way to get. Yeah, it's an easier way to get the younger people into the movies, putting those songs in it. I prefer the scores 100%.
Yeah.
So I like the scores of the movies way more than the popular hits that we'll hear. Didn't used to always be the case. Soundtracks used to be more about the song, because I remember listening to stuff like the original Scream soundtrack, like that had actual songs on them. Like that's back in the day when Creed was huge for the first Scream soundtrack and whatnot. You would have shit like that. I listened to those soundtracks all the time. That's how I got to know different bands, because of those soundtracks. It was just a compilation of different music. But I'm an adult and I have things like Spotify because of technology. I prefer listening to a score 100%.
Okay.
And I'll always like that more, for sure. Now, for this movie, the score is different. The score isn't done by the same person that's usually done by. I believe this time around the score was Brian Tyler and Sven Faulkner did the score for this film, and it does sound different. It's very different from what we're used to. But I was cool with it. I liked it being different because it wasn't the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. And so yeah, if that's the question, because I did kind of talk forever. If that was the question, I enjoyed the score for this movie quite a. Not my favorite, but I did very much enjoy it, and I enjoyed the score for this much more than the pop songs that we get in the movie. I didn't really care for those at all because I'm not really in that scene, and that kind of music really isn't my jam. So I like the score way more, for sure.
Okay.
But moving on in the film, let's see, Sam, she has a meeting with Dr. Stone, I believe, and that's her therapist. She never really talks to her therapist in these sessions, from what we're getting, and then she finally decides to divulge information because her therapist is like, I'm gonna have to stop seeing you because I can't help you if you don't talk to me. So she tells him what the fuck's been going on with her, and he kind of like immediately is like, nope, this shit ain't for me. I'm gonna have to go. Sorry, I'm out. And I fucking hated that character for that, because I was like, dude, you're a fucking therapist. Your job is to listen and give her advice and talk to her and help her through trauma, right? And struggle. He just immediately abandons her. So like, he was definitely a character that I fucking wanted gone in this film after seeing that portion of the movie. And we get our wish later. But yeah, so that's what's happening with her. We see that she's getting calls from a new ghost face. And it's crazy seeing it. We see that they start talking about Jason's murder on the news. They find this ghost face mask that was worn 10 years ago in an attack, I want to say it was. And on the way to the station, Ghostface calls Sam's from Richie's phone, which I thought was cool. A nice little attention to detail there.
No, wait. The first mask they found was Richie's mask, because it goes backwards.
Was it Richie's mask?
Yeah, because it said it was Richie. I can't remember his last name, but
Hirsch.
What is it?
Hirsch.
Yeah, I believe it was his DNA on the first mask.
Okay. Yeah, it's like I said, it's been over a month since I've seen the movie, so that's probably correct. And I apologize for that.
Because it goes in reverse order on is what they essentially do. They're dropping masks in the reverse order.
Mm-hmm. Leading up to her dad's mask. I forgot about that. So yeah, we have that going on. And like I said, I really enjoyed that portion. She gets the call from Richie's phone, which I thought was really cool. What else happens? I'm trying to go in order the best that I can, guys, for everybody listening and watching on YouTube.
When she gets
I'm
the
trying
call,
really,
she
really
gets
hard.
attacked. Her and Tara get attacked. Sam and Tara.
Is that when the attack happens
Yeah, he
already?
calls and like pretty much she threatens him back, and he threatens and he like jumps from like not an alley, but it's like a stair step or something. Like he comes out of nowhere, and they kind of scrap a little
Does
bit, and then they end
yeah,
up
he
in
does
a
come out of
convenience
nowhere.
store.
Yeah, that's right. That bodega. They go to that
Yeah.
bodega. That's right. That's right. Let me think. Let me think. Let me think. Let me
I
think. Let
will
me
say
think. Let me
this:
think.
the mask, the main mask you see quite a bit. I freaking love. I love the worn out like deteriorated mask like they did with Michael in the Halloween, and this one with Ghostface. Like just that wear and tear on it. I really dig that. I think it looks really good.
I agree. I do like. I hope that that's not a trend that keeps happening because it'll get old really fast. But because the ghost face mask and Michael Myers mask are like predominantly white, it works very well
Yeah.
for them. If you were to do something like that with like per se a Jason mask, I mean it wouldn't look good because that the mask yellowing, I totally understand that because nothing stays white like that. It does things do yellow over time. So like for an example, in one of the worst Jason movies, which is Jason does Manhattan or goes Manhattan, whatever the fuck the movie's called, the eighth one in the franchise. Notice his mask is yellow as shit in that movie. It's just super fucking yellow. But it makes sense because like he spends so much time underwater and he's all slimy and gross and shit. So I didn't mind the way that he looked until the mask comes off in that movie, by the way. That looks fucking stupid. But like that kind of thing makes sense. Like the hockey mask yellowing over time, that makes sense. The screen mask cracked up and yellowed and shit, that makes sense. Michael Myers' mask makes sense. But like you couldn't do that with a lot of other characters. So I really enjoy it for this. Like I said, I hope it doesn't become a trend. For these two characters, it was fucking dope, and I
Yeah.
love that. I love that about the film. Let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to remember more of what happened in the way that it happened.
Ghostface just
Let's
walks into
see.
that convenience store and
Oh
straight up
yeah,
stabs somebody right away. Does
yeah.
not
He
even
he
like
just immediately
just
immediately
murders
starts
this dude out of
gutting
nowhere.
people. The store clerk has a shotgun, tries to shoot him. In the trailer, they make it seem like he just disappears, but he just, he's not an idiot. He gets out of the way
Because the
and
store clerk says,
dodges.
"Hey," and then gives him time to turn around, then shoots him. Like, why would you do that? Just shoot. Like, what? Why would you yell, "Hey"? Like, hey, please look at me first. Just
That's
shoot
one of
him.
my favorite scenes in the movie, though. I fucking love the whole bodega
One
thing.
thing that's very different, and I could be wrong, and you'll definitely correct me, but I don't think Ghostface has ever used a gun, and he uses one in this in pretty brutal fashion as he takes that shotgun and straight up just
Listen.
destroys the store clerk.
Here's the thing. Uh, I'm assuming that it's just easy for a lot of people to forget, but Ghostface has used a gun in almost every fucking movie.
Has he? Which I
Yeah,
don't get
and
as crazy in the Scream movie as you do.
that's the thing though. In the Scream movies, during the duration of the film, it's primarily kills with a knife. He's stabbing people.
Right.
That's the whole thing.
Hence why
But
the
at the end,
spin-off that they do in is called Stab.
but at the end of all of the movies, he has a gun, or they have a gun. Like Billy Loomis tried to shoot Sydney, and that didn't work for him the way that he thought it would. Her brother Roman Bridger, third one, tried to shoot her, or did shoot her actually. She had a bulletproof vest on, if you guys remember. So like all Ghostfaces use a
Oh,
gun. Jill
okay.
tried to use a gun. Like all of them use guns. It's just typically after they've been unmasked. So that's what happens. But
More of like
I
a
will say
desperation to
Ghostface,
finish it.
yeah, but Ghostface has never used a shotgun, so
No.
there's the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I really thought that was cool though. I love that scene. It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie because once Sam and Tara get attacked by Ghostface, that shit just keeps escalating. They run to the bodega, they get attacked in the bodega. People get fucking murdered in the bodega. They get shot at in the bodega, and then the cops are showing up. So Ghostface dips, leaves the mask, and goes right. So I love that scene of the movie. And when they get to the police station, that's when we are reintroduced to Kirby Reed, survivor from 2011, Scream 4, of course. Then we get Gail Weathers shows up, and she gives us a super quick explanation as to why Sydney's not in this movie, and that's all we needed. You know, I wasn't mad about it. Cindy's not. Or I keep saying Cindy. Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry. Sydney is not in the movie because she knows not to show up. She knows that that's bait, so she stays with her family. And like I said, it was a quick line. Blink if you miss it. But I'm really glad that Sydney was not in this movie. She didn't need to be. There was no way they would have done her character justice because I have some thoughts about other things happening later on in the film, which we'll get into here in a bit. But we get a lot of uh, plot exposition. It's an exposition dump essentially in this scene. We re-meet all these characters and we see a bunch of stuff coming on. How did you feel about seeing Kirby again?
Uh Pretty much last time we saw her, was she not essentially left for dead? Like you didn't really know she was alive?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As soon as I saw her, okay. So since we're kind of going in order of the movie and without getting into stuff, my initial thought when I saw Kirby and she comes in as an FBI agent, I was like, that's not right. I'm not on board with this. I was like, I already don't trust her. Just because she rolls in as an FBI agent, I felt like nobody really questioned her credentials. So immediately I was like, that's a little suspect. She just flashes a badge that could be fake, and she's like, hey, I'm FBI. Which, if you've ever watched Scream, they're gonna try to like take you off course a lot. They're gonna put suspect on different characters throughout the movie, so you're always trying to guess who the killer is, obviously. But she also kind of, it may be later in the movie, but she does explain why, like, the whole death thing. Said she died for, I want to say, she says, like, 4 minutes or something. Something along those lines. But she technically did die, you know, and then whatever. They brought her back, all that. It was cool for, like, a fan thing. I don't know. I wasn't really big on her performance in this for some reason. Like, I just didn't really get really behind Kirby in this movie. Like, I was just kind of like, with her.
All right.
Were you excited?
I will say, yeah, I was excited. Kirby is one of my favorite characters in the Scream franchise. I really like her. When she got stabbed in Scream 4 originally, when I saw that movie, I was like, well, she's not dead. They never show her body or talk to her again. So I feel like she's alive. And
I mean, that's like an unwritten rule that people forget about a lot. And horror movies definitely play up to that, and they do it in this movie also. If you don't physically see them die or getting stabbed or like actually being murdered, don't ever fully expect them to be gone. Right? I mean, you have to watch them go.
Typically, like in a lot of older slasher films, somebody wasn't counted dead unless you saw them with the blood coming out of their mouth. They're on the ground and you see them dead and blood's coming out of their mouth. Then yeah, they're dead at that point. But
so you were happy with Kirby in this?
Yeah, dude. I never once questioned Kirby. I never for a second thought that she was nefarious. I never thought that at all for a second. There in my head there was not a reason for that. That was
maybe it's how they wrote her. Just some parts that she did, I was just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what it was. Something was a little off with me and her in this.
It's because they use her as a red herring, and they do that a lot in Scream films because they don't want you to guess who killer is and blah blah blah. But I mean, if you watch this movie, you know exactly who at least one of the killers are pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on. We'll move on. So we get all that stuff, and then we see. I believe what happens after that is they talk about the. I think that's when Gail takes them to that warehouse and they see all the masks and the trophies and shit and all the memorabilia from the old movies,
which is like dope. They super dope. Yeah, actually,
I really like that. Some of those scenes were a little bit long for my taste, but I thought it was awesome. I really liked seeing it. I thought that was a good thing to have in there. And then I believe after that is when they go back to the apartment of Sam and Tara, and that's when we get another Ghostface attack. yeah, we get another Ghostface attack, and Tara's like boyfriend that she's not supposed to, that she not, excuse me, that she doesn't tell anyone about. I think they call him Cute Boy for most of the movie.
Yeah, I actually don't know what his
Uh,
real name is in the movie. Cute guy or something.
it's, I mean, he has a name, and I gotta remember what it is
Let
because
me
I
look.
like the actor Josh Sagara. Danny, his name's Danny. His
Oh,
name's
yeah, there you
Danny. But yeah, I really liked him, and then I liked I think her name's like Evan Nakoti or I think Nakota, and she played Annika, who was the girlfriend to Mindy, and I really liked both of those characters. I like Mindy. Mindy was like my favorite character in the last Scream, and then in this movie, I liked her, but she wasn't my favorite. My favorite character was probably Mason Gooding's character, which is Chad.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Chad. I mean, I liked Melissa Barrera Sam in this movie a lot. They gave her so much more to work with in this movie because I was not a fan of Sam at all in the original in Scream 5. I didn't care for her at all. I thought she was a weak ass final girl. But seeing her in this movie, like I know now, I just didn't like the way she was written. In this movie, she's written better. She's stronger of a character. She seems like a survivor. I believe everything that she does in this movie. Her acting is fucking on point here. Complaints about her in this movie at all. So she made me eat my words from the last movie, and I understand more so now that it's not the character, it's the writing for the character. But moving on, there's an attack there. Josh Segar's character Danny helps them get away, and that's when we get another really cool kill, which I think is going to be a fucking famous kill, which is when Indy's girlfriend Annika dies, and it's because it's the scene that you see in the trailer where everybody's trying to get out of the apartment and they're crawling on the what they're crawling over the ladder, and Ghostface shows up and starts shaking the shit out of the ladder, and Annika falls off and like fucking smashes her goddamn face on the dumpster before she slaps the ground and dies.
You know, it's
Dude.
funny you brought up this kill. I actually put this in my notes as like a really, really cool kill scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, I wrote down, I was like, this was a really sick kill scene. Like I really like this one.
I like the whole scene, dude. All of it, all of the suspense, everything going on in the film.
Before that, you
leading up
forgot to
until-
kill. Ghostface
Oh, yeah.
kills Quinn, which would be Sam's roommate. Her
Yeah, but we don't see
Sam's
it. We don't see it.
promiscuous roommate, I should say,
Mhm.
that always has
Sex
gentleman callers.
Mhm. Sex positive, as she calls
Yeah,
herself.
there you go. Thank you.
And-
That was
and
her
I agree.
actual
It's-
terminology. I tried to write
Yeah.
down the rules they had for a franchise, and I don't think I got them all. What is it? Everything is bigger in a franchise. Bigger kill scenes, bigger chase scenes, bigger all that. No one is safe, not even legacy characters. And I couldn't remember the other one. There was another rule, and I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember the rules off the top of my head. If this were like 2 weeks ago, I would have remembered, but right now I don't. So I do apologize. I do know that after that, the reason why I didn't bring up Quinn so much though is because her death is off screen. We only hear screaming and some thudding.
Yep.
But the door's locked. They can't get in, and we
They
don't
throw her
see
body
it,
out of
and
the
that
door
was-
essentially at the people. So you don't see
Yeah.
her die. We just talked about this. Keep that in mind. Also, if you haven't watched the movie,
Yeah.
there's spoilers. Okay? Look, we're spoilers.
Yeah. And that was one of the lamest scenes and kills that I had seen.
Yeah.
In a Scream movie, and I thought it was stupid. So I was just like, I don't like this at all. Whatever. That's a dumb way. I was like, I understand that, you know, we're powering through, and Ghostface is the motherfucker in this movie, and he's like getting shit done.
I mean,
but
I
damn,
kinda-
like
well,
we can't see it.
I'm not going to say anything about it yet, but yeah. I kind of called some stuff on that, like initially, especially after seeing the theater. I was like, there's a lot of stuff here. Like, they're making movies. Like, you know, the pieces kind of already fit in a way for that a little bit. But yeah. All right. Continuing on, though. You get lame kill, then you get coolest kill of the movie, probably.
Yep.
With
We get that,
her being essentially slit open in her stomach, and then she gets her face caved in on a trash can, like a dumpster.
That's right. And I didn't mention before, but Quinn's dad was in the movie earlier, and he is he's a cop, a detective.
Yep.
And we saw that he is there after she gets killed, and he's all emotional about it, and he's taken off of the case pretty much after this because, you know,
Which
Quinn
the
was
case
his
he had
daughter.
requested, by the way. Did you catch that
Yeah,
on the initial interrogation after Jason's death when they find Sam's thing? It's like, I requested this case because of whatever. And I was just like, you request really? Huh.
I did see that, and like I said, I there was a lot of stuff in this movie that I called pretty early, but like the journey was, that was what I was there for.
Yeah.
So if I move on a little bit, he gets taken off the case, and the group wants to avenge Quinn and their other friends, Mindy's girlfriend and all that, who have died. But we're seeing a lot of that go on, and like I said, man, I really enjoyed the journey for this film. And then after that, Gail that's when she takes them to the abandoned cinema. I said that incorrectly. After that kill is when Gail takes them to show, what she's found, because she's such a good reporter and blah, blah, blah. So we see all of that shit. And we also learned, I forgot to mention this as well, when we meet Gail in the last movie, Gail specifically says that she's not going to write about the killings from Scream 5 because of Dewey and all that stuff. She said she was just going to write about Dewey and what kind of person he was and how he was a good man, and she was going to let those killers die in anonymity. And that didn't happen. She went back on her word and absolutely wrote about it and profited off of that. And that's why Sam and Tara try to beat the shit out of Gail when they first run into her. She dodges the first hit from Tara, which I thought was awesome, and then gets from Sam. Not from Tara, but from Sam, and then she gets hit. So I thought that was interesting and funny to see. But I thought it really sucked that they essentially made Gail a fucking liar. I didn't really enjoy that about this movie, but I mean, I guess without Dewey to keep her honest, she goes back to her old ways. So whatever. So anyway, after that scene, we see that she shows them all the stuff, the weapons from each of the killers, the mask, the shrine, all the investigation tools that they find, all of that stuff. Then we see that once they leave, Ghostface calls Gail at her apartment and starts tormenting her about Dewey's death. Ghostface says some pretty fucking hateful shit to Gail at this point too, and I was like, God damn, Ghostface is a motherfucker. And while she's on the phone with Ghostface, another scene that I really enjoyed, quick scene that I really enjoyed. Gail has a boyfriend in the back, some kind of boy toy that she has that she's clearly fucking, and you see that Gail likes chocolate milk. So I thought that was really cool. I'm cool with that. Gail's down with the brown. I thought that was dope.
It's opposite ends of the spectrum. She goes from Dewey to chocolate milk.
Hey, man.
I mean,
sometimes you got to switch it up.
She threw a curveball right there. I was like, okay, Gail, I see you. Like,
yeah,
this is how we rebound. Okay.
Gail, you should have told me. Damn. But anyway, this dude gets fucking murdered with the quickness while Gail is on the phone with Ghostface. Ghostface shows up, kills this dude, takes him off the board immediately. And when I saw that, I was like, well, I think it's safe to say there's more than one Ghostface. Because he didn't even he wasn't even breathing hard while he was on the phone with Gail. So I was like, okay, cool. Now I know what's going on with this. This is cool to see. So after that, the chase scene starts. So we get another chase scene from Gail this time. She's getting chased by Ghostface. She's doing extremely well in this chase scene, by the way, but she does get stabbed. And Ghostface kind of puts her through the ringer, but
I have to say, she's no fool. Gail did one thing that I was like, damn, that's actually 200 IQ. There's a moment where she's on the phone with him, and Ghostface is like talking shit and doing his thing, and she's like, hold on. He's like, wait, what? And then she like hangs up and does the instant
Star
callback.
69?
Yeah, calls it right back where it rings, and she shoots. And I was like, damn, that's actually smart as hell. Like, that's really good thinking on the fly. Like, I don't know that I would have thought of that, like, in that moment. I was like, damn, that's pretty good. Now, be honest, Christian. When you saw Gail, did you not already kind of suspect with Dewey dying in the last movie, Gail might be taken out in this movie? Were you not kind of thinking she might be? Or did you?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie and be honest. I totally thought Gail was done. I thought she was done. I thought they were gonna take her out of the movie.
It just makes sense to me, like in my head, whenever I saw her, I was like, all right, well, her real life husband is gone in the last movie. They've been legacy characters forever. I kind of wonder if this is her last one. Like, it just seemed like a passing of a torch, whatever. But
So Gail gets stabbed. I was just like, oh, well, this is it. This is it. She's done. She's totally done. Ghostface says some hateful shit. Gail has some quips, of course, after that scene, which, like I said, man, watching this movie in the theaters, I was totally under the impression that she was done. But we find out later on in the movie that she's in the hospital and that she's going to make a recovery. And I was just like, well, goddamn, how did Gail live? That was, I'm not going to lie, that's exactly what I was thinking at that point. I was like, how is she alive? Like, I don't get that. She got kind of fucked up, and she's a little older. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think her resistance is the same, but whatever. Gail lives. We move on in the movie, and we see that Sam kind of wants to not only keep Gail safe but avenge the attack on her. So I kind of understood that because Gail is one of the only legacy characters that she has a relationship with, even though it's kind of a fucked up relationship. But thinking about it, that's kind of the relationship that Gail has with pretty much any character in the Scream franchise. It's no relationship goes ungaled, if you will. She burns bridges. Anyway, we move on to the scene after that.
Before we move on, you had
Yeah.
touched on it previously, and we kind of skipped over it. But you had talked about Sam's shitty psychiatrist. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him because he sucks.
It's a really cool foreshadow. He's watching a movie, and I don't know the name of the movie, but the movie starts having a thing saying, "You're next, you're next, you're next." It's like them screaming it, and as they're screaming it, there's like a pounding at his door, and he goes and looks, and Ghostface just stabs him in the fucking eye.
Yeah, that's right. That's the scene.
No,
that
it's through the nose.
Where,
maybe it's through the nose. I think it's the nose.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Oh.
Because I remember they make
it's the
mention
scene
of
that
it. They're
you see-
like, the cop talks about how brutal it is.
Yeah. You see that scene in the trailer where Ghostface is like looking through a door, like the frosted glass on the door, and you see the silhouette of him. He knocks on the door and stabs the guy through the door with that. And I thought that was really fucking cool. And he dies. And he, like I said, that character fucking sucked anyway. I couldn't stand that guy. I was so ready to see him get schmurdered. So that's what happened to him. But then we move back into story. Like I said, I'm skipping around a little bit, and I apologize. We skip around a little bit ahead, and they're all gonna meet back at the at like the Ghostface trap house, if you will, the theater with all the shit in it that we just mentioned earlier. And they try to catch the subway to do that, but they get separated. So you have in the part that we see in the trailer, we that's in there, but it's a little bit of a swerve. So Indy is on the train with a potential Ghostface killer, and I can't
Who she
remember
calls
that kid's name
Ghostface
right
over
now.
and over. His name's Ethan.
Ethan, yeah, Ethan was a character in the movie that I wasn't. Jack Champion's character. He was a character that I just didn't really give a shit about. He's Chad's roommate and friend. Yeah, and I really didn't give a shit about him when I met him, and I'll tell you guys more about that later on. But he was one of the characters that I just thought was kind of weak. I just wasn't into it. I liked Quinn way more than Ethan. But if we move, and like I said, I'll say that for later. We move on. They get separated on the train. It's super fucking suspenseful. It's another really good part of the movie. I do wish, in hindsight, that they didn't show this so much in the trailers, because if they didn't, this would have been my favorite scene. But because it was in the trailer so heavy, ended up not being my favorite scene.
One thing I really love about this scene is this is happening on Halloween, I believe. Or maybe it's the day before Halloween. I can't remember. But everyone's dressed up.
It's definitely the Halloween season, yeah.
And you see Jason, you see Michael, you see Georgie, you see I don't really know what to call them. The
Pinhead.
family from Us. You see Pinhead. You see Chucky.
There's Chucky's and Tiffany's. I think
there's like
Bride.
Just a smorgasbord of horror characters all throughout it, and it's really awesome. Plus a ton of Ghostface, obviously.
You see somebody dressed up as Samara Weaving's character from Ready or Not.
Yeah, it's really dope. Awesome. It's a really dope scene. Like, I actually really like the subway scene. Like all the characters and stuff there.
Yeah, so there's like 6 ghost faces, plural, on this train.
Yeah, there's a lot. And
Mindy does get attacked, gets her mouth covered and stabbed by the ghost face. And after she is stabbed, we see Jack Champion's character, Ethan. He sees after the fact and runs over to her to try to help her. She says, "Get away from me, Ghostface." And he does help her off the subway, and they text later, letting everybody know what happened to Mindy. She's going to the hospital. Like I said, wasn't a huge fan of that part of it, but we'll get into it more later. They make it to the theater with all the Ghostface memorabilia and the shrine, and the dad of Quinn, the cop detective that we met earlier in the movie, he calls Sam to let her know that Kirby can't be trusted because she doesn't actually work for the FBI. She got suspended months ago because she's crazy and
Didn't she
she's
get
supposed
fired?
to
I don't think
be
she got
in a.
suspended
That's right, she's fired. She got fired a while ago
for
because
mental reasons or something.
yeah, she fucking went crazy thanks to the attack she suffered during Scream 4 years ago. And I just, when I watched it, I was just like, what? I got kind of mad. I was like, I'm gonna be really fucking pissed if they like go through with that. But I didn't believe it. I just was like, I'm gonna be mad if it does happen. And luckily, as we get through the movie, we see that's not necessarily the case. Sam doesn't trust anybody anymore. She starts seeing Billy in her head again, and Billy's telling her
I love that
to
aspect of it.
knife
Sam
the
seeing
fuck up.
the original actor for Billy Loomis.
Skeet Ulrich.
Yeah, I really dig that. That like him talking to her and like being that dark passenger, if you will. I really do like that.
Yeah, man. Officer Bailey, like I said,
Which he makes the most sense. Have you ever noticed that? Like whenever they get in the room and like she gets that call and he's like, she's looking at I guess the case where it's his costume or whatever. He's like, you should case this place yourself. You need to go clear it and do it yourself. Like, you know what you need to do. You know how to protect yourself. And I was like, he's the only one like thinking semi-rational right now. Like, not just being like, oh, we're safe. It's the safest place. We're good.
That definitely does happen. Like I said, guys, I'm skipping around. I skipped a lot of shit to talk about.
Yeah.
And I'll probably, we're running on time, so we're just going to keep going. But like you said, Billy does remind her. She takes his original knife to arm herself and starts getting shit done. Then
Which
Sam realizes
weird pet peeve. Why was it wet?
Yeah, seriously.
No, like if it's dried blood, like when I looked at it, I was like, why does it look like it's fresh blood on it? Like that's kind of I don't understand that,
absolutely.
But whatever.
It should have been rusty as shit.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Whatever. She realizes that they're locked inside of the theater. Then Wayne calls her. Wayne, Detective Bailey is who that is. Calls her Quinn's dad. Pretty much calls her. He warns her about Kirby. Like I said, she got fired from the FBI months ago. Then we see while Chad and Tara, they've had like a little thing in this movie where they like will they won't they type thing, and they finally get there and kiss and kind of show their feelings for each other, which I thought was awesome. I really like this relationship in the movie. Right as that happens, we see Ghostface show up and start fucking shit up. Chad fights Ghostface off though like a motherfucking boss, I gotta say, and I really like that scene of the movie. Another Ghostface shows up and they fucking double team Chad and stab the absolute shit out of him. So I'm watching the movie and I'm like, well, Chad's gone. That fucking sucks. He was my favorite character. But yeah, they stab the shit out of Chad, look at Tara, wipe their knives off at the same time, and then like run after her to attack her. And that was the other scene in the movie that like got me, how do I say this in a PG-13 way, extremely excited in my nether regions. When that scene happened, dude, I was like 6 to midnight immediately. That scene did it for me. I was so happy. It was amazing. I was ready. Like, I can't explain to you enough how fucking dope I thought that scene was. I don't know how you felt about it, but I was 100% in at that point.
Oh, what? You lost me on nether region tingling. I got sidetracked.
Don't even worry about it. We'll keep moving on. So at this point, we see that Tara and Sam attempt to escape. Kirby and then Officer Bailey both show up with their guns drawn, and Detective Bailey shoots Kirby, revealing himself as the third Ghostface and the mastermind of this whole thing. So of course the dad was the Ghostface killer mastermind of this, and I knew this was coming because going into the movie, I knew that this movie is like a new trilogy, so I knew that they were going to copy a lot of the things from Scream 2, And if you guys remember in Scream 2, Debbie Loomis was the killer in that movie, also known as Debbie Salt. And she was Billy's mom. So I knew that they were going to copy that. So instead of a mom, it was going to be a dad. He was the dad of Quinn. So I felt like he was going to be the killer for that. I alluded earlier that I didn't like Jack Champion's character. And the reason why I didn't like his character in the movie so much is because Jack Champion's character, Ethan, just reminded me a lot of like a discount Richie from the last movie. Turns out
He even looks like him,
brother.
kinda.
He does look like him as well. Turns out he's Richie's brother in this movie. So bam, there you go with the Scream 3 references as well. It's kind of so that happens, and then after that, we see that the other Ghostface killer, who Sam idiotically mistakes as Mindy for some reason, like a fucking idiot. She thinks it's Mindy, but it turns out to be fucking Quinn, who is still alive, and she is also the brother of Richie from the last movie, because his two siblings were in this movie, which are Quinn and Ethan, and then their father, who is Detective Bailey. So that happened in this movie. So you got a family of killers coming after Sam and Tara to kill them. And like this reveal was one of the weakest reveals for all of the Scream movies for me, and it's definitely not something that I was into. That's one of the reasons why this movie didn't.
Like when it happened.
Definitely one of the reasons why this movie didn't get a higher grade from me. Like I just didn't really care about these killers. I liked Quinn being a killer just because she was kind of cool and really out there anyway. And I knew immediately that Bailey was a killer. Like I knew immediately that he was a fucking killer. So it was just whatever.
He tips his hat a couple. It's kind of thrown out there for you, pretty obvious. One, when Quinn dies, and he's grieving, he's like, pretty much they say something about don't fuck with families. Like, I'm gonna execute them. Like insinuating like if you mess with my family, you're gonna die. Kind of going back towards Sam and Tara. And then another one is when they're going over all the stuff in the theater. They're talking about how all of it's in evidence, but there are corrupt cops that could be paid off and stuff. And there he is, the law enforcement agent right there, who is very interested in the Ghostface case. It's kind of like, okay. I mean, you have to have someone on the inside to get that stuff. Like, it all kind of, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, man. So like you were saying, man, that's exactly what happens. The trio kind of reveals that they're responsible for defaming Sam on the internet, and people nowadays believe whatever they see or read on the internet because the internet knows all, I guess. So that's what happens with that. Sam and Tara get the upper hand. They fight off the Bailey family. Tara gets stabbed. Everybody gets fucking stabbed in this movie, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But with that happening, there's a part where I think it's Sam. She straight up hits Quinn in the fucking mouth with a brick.
Yeah.
And like bust her goddamn mouth open. And I was like,
knocks teeth out.
Damn, she did. She knocked teeth plural out of this bitch's mouth.
Like she just they're like all over the ground.
Spits the teeth out, gets up like it wasn't shit, and keeps going. And I was like, is this bitch on fucking meth? What's happening? Like, how the fuck did she just get... seriously. Seriously, dude. Like, I was like, how the fuck is she still going, dude? Like the Energizer Bunny. Oh my God. So that kind of pissed me off. Whatever. I forgot to mention earlier that what's her name? Jesus Christ. I can't think of her name right now because I'm so mad at Kirby. Kirby got knocked out earlier, so she can't really help anybody do anything. So they had to write her off for a minute. Anyway, Sam
gets shot, and then she gets stabbed again by.
Everybody gets stabbed.
Ethan.
Everybody.
I think Ethan stabbed her. It's like, this is familiar.
Ethan does stab her. Yeah, he stabs her and makes fun of it. Man, this shit is crazy, dude. Like the theater, we see Richie's movie playing in the background that they have set up for him for all of this shit. Oh man, Sam then puts on the costume of Ghostface, like her dad's costume, Billy's costume, and I thought that shit was dope.
I liked it a lot.
Calls Detective Bailey, taunts the shit out of him with the voice changer, and then she stabs the fucking piss out of him.
Yes.
with the knife. She kills the shit out of this dude. Ethan shows back up, but Kirby smashes him with the TV, the same TV that killed Stu, which I thought was hilarious because that TV should be all broken and fucked up. But whatever, it still was cool to see him get killed like that. And then Quinn got stabbed.
No, Quinn got
by.
capped. She got shot.
Oh
in the
no,
forehead.
she did. She got shot in the forehead.
Because she runs
right,
at her and she just gets
that.
capped in the forehead. And I was like, what the hell?
Just shot. I was like, what did you think was going to happen, you bitch? But anyway, so she gets shot in the face. She's done. The family is killed at this point. Tara sees Sam like in full killer mode, and it's kind of weird, but like they just kind of write it off and talk about how they're going to go to therapy together.
Well, Sam like stops. She's going to finish the job, and she sees Tara, and she like pulls back like, this is not what I am. You know, I'm not a killer. And then Tara kind of gives this weird look after she murdered, after she thought she had killed Ethan. And Sam's like, you're right. You don't fuck with family. And she shoves the knife in his mouth. No, in his eye. Maybe it's his eye.
In his eye. I think it's in his face.
And just finishes the job. And I was like, God. And then, like you said, they start talking about therapy and all that. But
yeah, killer family versus killer family, and the better family wins. But here's the other part of the movie that I hate. And like I said, guys, I really, really enjoy this movie. This is stupid. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Everybody in this movie got stabbed more than once, and they all fucking lived. Somehow Chad is alive. Mindy's
how many
alive,
times has that dude been stabbed in 2 movies? We need a count.
Dude, he's gotten stabbed in Dewey. It's insane.
Because he got stabbed.
They stabbed.
I should go back. I'm going to go back when I rewatch
like,
him, and I'm going to count how many stabs he gets. Because he gets a piss stabbed out of him in 5, and then in 6, he got the piss stabbed out of him by 2 people. Like,
yeah. There's no way, like, I guess your organs just don't, you can live. If you, in these Scream movies, as long as you get stabbed and not shot in the face, you're good. Like, they're just like flesh wounds. I don't understand. But everybody gets stabbed up in this movie and they don't die. So the entire core 4 lives. Chad lives, Mindy lives, Sam lives, Tara lives, which we knew Tara and Sam were going to live because there's obviously going to be another movie. But it's, Radio Silence may or may not direct that because they're going on to other things, and they've alluded 3 times now that they might not be on the next Scream film, and I don't know why that's the case, but it's sad to see them go if they're not in it. But that's the end of the movie, and I just hated the fact that even Kirby lived too. Gail. Kirby, Sam, Tara, they all lived. So the only people that died in this movie were the killers and the brand new characters that were shown just for this movie to die. That's the only reason why this movie doesn't get higher than the 7 for me, because we should have had way more character deaths.
Well, Danny also didn't die.
That was the movie.
Danny survived.
Danny did survive. It made sense for him to survive, though, because he gets written out of the movie pretty fucking early on, like right as we go. Then he comes back and they're obviously a couple, an item, and it's cool. But I was glad Danny didn't die because I really like Josh Segarra as an actor. I really liked his character in this movie, even though he wasn't in it a lot. And I'll see him again because if you remember in Scream 2, Sydney's boyfriend, Derek, was also a good boyfriend. He, however, unfortunately died because he got fucking shot by one of the main killers. I can't think of his name right now. Timothy Oliphant's character. I can't think of his fucking name. I apologize. Mickey. He gets shot by Mickey. So he dies. And I thought that they were gonna kill Danny because, Sydney's boyfriend dies in the second one, but they kept him alive because they're changing shit up. But like I said, fucking everybody lives in this movie. So it's but that's it. That's the movie. That's Scream 6. Can't wait for Scream 7 to come out and get announced and all that shit. I'm really hyped for that.
I mean, they made enough money. There has to be another one, I would think.
Oh yeah, this movie made stupid money. So this movie's good.
It's not been greenlit or announced, but I mean, it's pretty safe to assume they're gonna make another one. Like, you've kind of got it set up for the trilogy,
70 million,
or however many I guess you want to do that you can get Jenna Ortega and Melissa to do. Because you kind of set up your new generation, or your core 4, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. I thought it was good. I agree 100%. The reveal was very lackluster and kind of a letdown a little bit. But Ghostface as a whole is gruesome, and I really dug it how vicious they were. It was solid. I thought it was a solid movie.
Same.
I liked it. It was a good watch. I do fully plan on watching. I wouldn't mind going through all of them actually sometime soon. I haven't done that in a long time. I need a huge refresher.
I plan on doing that this spooky season for sure. I do have I have all of them on Blu-ray at this point, except for the newest one, Scream 6, the one we just talked about. I don't own that one yet, but I'm trying to go back and get all of them on 4K. So, you know, that costs. So I'm trying to do that. But I do own them all. I will watch them again, and I'm excited to watch them all. Scream is one of my favorite slasher franchises anyway. I've always been a huge fan of all of these movies. I don't think that there's a bad one in the bunch. I do think that there are some that are better than others for sure, but there aren't any bad ones, like I said, in my opinion. And because of this being one of my favorite slasher franchises of all time, it's something that I watch yearly, and I don't want to break that trend. So I will definitely begin watching those this fall.
All right. Well, fair enough. Well, that's our quick rundown. Definitely check it out. Let us know what you think about Scream 6 in comments, or DM us, or just respond to us and let us know. I'm curious to know what you all think about it. Did you like it? Did you hate it? You know, what do you think about how it's going, how it's trending, what they're doing with these most recent ones? And yeah, that was a fun breakdown. But it is time, as we're running very low on time, that we
pass the whiskey.
That's right. Get your
Whiskey
for the final segment, and that is Last Call, ladies and gentlemen. And this week, Christian, I believe, has us a nice little question.
Yeah, I know that earlier we were talking about The Flash. I wanted to ask, as the last call question this time around, what do you want to see the most in Flash 2023 coming out this June? What do you want to see the most?
Like, what one thing do I want to see the most?
Yeah, what one thing are you looking
Michael
forward
Keaton.
to the most in this?
Is that the wrong answer?
That's hilarious.
I mean, like I said before when we were talking about that, that's what whenever I would think Batman, forever as a kid, that's what I associated was Michael Keaton's Batman. Like, I know we had other ones while I was a kid and growing up, but Michael Keaton was what I would like. Whenever I would think of Batman in my head, that's where I would go. So him reprising the role excites me. And based on the stuff I've seen, it looks like he had possibly long hair at one point, and he's going to be, I don't know, just him being an older Batman is really fascinating to me, and I can't wait to see it. Like, I'm super excited for that.
That's fair. I get that.
What about you?
For me, what I want to see the most is them explore the Speed Force. I really want to see that. I want to see what it can do in this film. See Barry use it. Obviously, he's going to use it back in time, the whole point of the film in itself. But I want to see the Speed Force. I want to see it being used. I want to see what it can do. I want to see how he uses it to go back in time. I want to see how it affects him and this other character, this other villain that I want to go back into. There are so many things that I want to see in this movie, but that is definitely one of them. I really, really want to see the Speed Force being utilized in this movie.
All right. Nice. All right. Well, if you'd like your question to be featured on an episode of Sippin' With Sin, be sure to join our Gilded server, gilded.gg/Sinister pack. In the application, just put from the pod, and we will get you accepted. And there's a whole section just for last call questions. There's a whole section just devoted to the podcast. You can have episode chat, show us your drinks, last call questions, as well as Sinister Tales, where we talk about spooky stuff and things on the internet and other things. There's a corner just for Christian in there. And then there's a bunch of stuff in regards to my streaming and my community over there that you're more than welcome to hang out and get to know us and chat with us. But it's a great way to get in touch and submit your questions to get it featured. You can also hit us up on the social media sites at Sippin' With Sin, SIPPIN with Sin on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can DM us there, that last call question, or you can just respond to us and let us know there. That's a great way to do it also. You can find us a new episode of the podcast. I'm fumbling over my words because, I don't know. Because that's why. But you can find a new episode of the podcast every Wednesday, every audio platform, Spotify, Anchor, Google, Overcast, Apple, all that stuff. 8 a.m. Wednesdays, Central Time, every Wednesday, episodic, weekly. That's right. Go rate it 5 stars, share it with a friend. Continue to listen. Continue to follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps us a ton. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. You can find the video version of the podcast over on my personal YouTube, youtube.com/IamSinister. Be sure to thumbs up, subscribe. You can put comments in there and talk about it. We do watch that, and we would love to respond to you over there as well. You can find me on my personal socials if you want to hit me up and talk to me there. Twitter and Instagram at IamSinisterTV. You can find me live streaming on kick.com/IamSinister. You can find me on twitch.tv/IamSinisterTV, and you can find me also on TikTok at IamSinisterTV and Facebook Gaming at fb.gg/IamSinisterTV. Christian, where can the lovely folks find you?
Me on all the socials at Venom Inc., all one word, and also on my other podcast channel as well, Horrorverse Pod, on all the socials. Aside from that, guys, I'm not on the internet that much because I probably believe I don't like social media that much.
Well, there you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this episode. It's been a little bit of a longer one, so we appreciate you if you are still around hanging out with us. We appreciate you being here this long, and we will see you guys next week. You don't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. It's time for Christian to shut the doors and lock it down.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of Sippin With Sin. We always appreciate your company. Guys, you guys know I usually have a lot to say, but this time I'm just going to wrap it up and keep it simple. I'm going to leave you guys with three words that I say every podcast. I want you to say those words with me. If you know them, don't get gutted.
See you guys next week.